Hi, guys and gals. Welcome to T.A.B. Videos, Tree Chatter Edition. Why I don't like public ranges. I gave up going to public ranges back in the late 70s as far as unmanned public ranges. Had an incident that happened at one of the gun ranges downstate, popular one. They did a lot of, they had a lot of range use, except for sight-in days for deer season. That was the only time it was manned, and that was just because of the crowds and everything that was going on. And I was down there one day, or back in, like I said, it was in the late 70s. I had this younger man. I mean, back in the 70s, I was a young man, but he was younger than I was. And I was down at the pistol range. And you know, when you're working on your game, working on what you want to do, you can't really watch what's happening on the sides of you. All the benches was in, all lined up. Everybody was there, was standing ahead of their benches because they wanted to do some accuracy shooting, you know, offhand. I happened to glance over, and there was a younger man. He was loading up, I believe it was a Ruger 357 Magnum. Had his girlfriend, his wife, whoever was with him. Of course, they had their eye and ear protection on. And he was over the berm. There's an expressway, and it's a high berm. I mean, you have to really elevate the gun to lob one over the berm within a half a mile behind that range. And he was doing the old Wild West, you know, bringing a gun down and firing. Boom, boom. For some reason, he did that, and he dropped one. Boom. Probably 3 or 4 foot in front of his feet. I seen that. I packed up my stuff, walked off the public range. Never been back to that kind of a public range again. Honestly, this is a true story. And me and Dan was talking the other night about public ranges, and even Uncle Jim kind of mentioned it a little bit on the indoor public ranges, the place he used to work, about why he don't like public ranges. And I'm not totally opposed against them, but most of your indoor ranges have an RO that is walking back and forth. When I left that club that day, never again would I go to a public range that didn't have an RO. So I found out there was a place called Ortonville Recreation Area that had it certain days of the week, but they had a range officer there. An actual park ranger was a range officer. I come to know one of them really well. And I started going out there, and then, you know, you got tired of that. So then I joined private clubs the rest of my time until I moved up here, up north, 4.5 years ago. When we was looking for our place up here, I wanted some property where I could put me a pistol range out back, which I did. I don't use it an awful lot because, you know, I don't have any real close neighbors, but you don't want to overdo a good thing. You know, it's legal and everything like that, but just for the noise and what have you. And I've been an RO for several years at the gun club I belong to downstate, and it's a private club. So we kind of policed one another when we was there. But a couple times a week, we opened our indoor public range. We had 1 or 2 ROs at all times. There was only 8 bays. It was a small range. But we always had 1 or 2 at the most ROs there keeping an eye on things. And you'd be surprised what you see, especially with the public that's fairly new, don't know a whole lot about the etiquette of shooting and whatnot, don't know the 4 basic gun rules. Treat all guns as if they're loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until ready to use. Know your target, what's behind it, and never point the gun at anything you don't want to shoot. 4 basic gun rules. And every year we would have it was called Women of the NRA shooting event. And we would have 100 to 125 on the average women there once a year. And we would let them shoot all disciplines: shotgun, rifle, indoor pistol, outdoor pistol, the whole gamut. But there was a range officer there for every event. For like in the indoor bay, for the indoor range, which was 22 only, by the way, we had a range officer for each individual woman. And it was a popular thing every year. They still have it, but I don't know what their attendance is. But so that's one reason why I don't like public ranges. They're not really patrolled, Like this one gun club I did, all the time they had a man ranger officer down there, was at gun sighting day for deer season. And people would be stacked up, just one behind another. And of course, you had to take your breaks and do what you had to do. So, like I said, me and Dan was talking about it, and I heard Uncle Jim allude to it in his chat. That's the reason I don't like public ranges. But like I said, now we moved up here, I use the gravel pit a lot, and it's public. But most of the time, I'm there by myself. And if there's other people on the lower range, I go to the upper range. That way I don't have to worry about nothing. And me and Dan use that quite a bit, because we get a lot of, especially in the summertime on the weekends, we get a lot of we call them flatlanders, downstaters, to come up here. And that's where I think a lot of our problem comes in, as far as debris and stuff like that left on the grounds. I just wanted to throw this little, I don't know if you want to call it public announcement, but it's why I don't like public ranges. And it's been over, like I said, back in the late 70s is the last time that I've ever been to a public range that had no range officer. So I know, range officers can be so-and-so's, okay? They really can be. But I always tried to treat, when I was a range officer, I always tried to treat everybody with respect, casually. And, you have to be kind of firm. Let them know, hey, you can't do that. Once you're at the firing line, the gun stays on there until you're ready to shoot, till you get the command to load. Don't be bringing it back to do something. Like if you got to work on your gun, let the RO know. You guys look at it together, make sure the gun's safe before that gun is off the line. And we had to do that all the time. I just thought I'd throw this little, I don't know, rant, whatever you want to call it. It's not really a rant, but for sake of argument, we'll call it a rant. If you like videos like this, hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification. Of course, appreciate the comments. Thanks for watching. God bless America and our armed forces, past and present.